Welcome to the Purpose with Purvis Show. I'm Jacklyn Purvis, and I'm here with my dad, my mentor, my business partner, Jamie Purvis. We're the father-daughter coaching team and co-founders of the Be Do Have movement. Each week, we're going to be diving into real-life strategies, inspiring stories to help you dream big, find your purpose, and take actionable steps towards living the life you've always wanted. Welcome back to the Purpose with Purvis Show. Today, we're talking all about fear, specifically around fear of failure and how this may be showing up for you in ways that you're not even sort of aware of right now, and how much this can impact where you actually want to go, and in terms of helping you break through your comfort zone and getting to that next level of growth and that next level in your business. I'll start with the three and I'll let you go from there, Jamie. So the first, fear of failure, comes up in three areas that we have found. The first being fear of failing others, fear of failure of results, and then fear of failure to self. Others is, it could be you're letting your team down. It could be you're letting a business partner down. It could be you're letting your family down. Maybe you're the provider and you're not getting the results that you're wanting. When it comes to fear of specific results, it can be that you have set a goal that you didn't get to, and you're feeling like a failure because of that. You maybe don't have the income that you have set for yourself, that you've wanted to achieve. Maybe it was even the income that you did last year that you're not at yet at this time of the year. So it's failure around not having the results that you want for yourself. And then failure to self is all the things that you want to be doing that you're not doing, that you know you should be doing. So it is sticking to that schedule. It is doing the things that are urgent, but not maybe the things that you know you should be doing that actually matter the most. It's not sticking to your word and sticking to the things that are important to you. So tell me a little bit about that, Jamie. Tell me about how this has been coming up or in some of the last conversations you've been having with realtors.
Our conversations right now are about finishing Q4 strong, right? So getting on track, having a target, having a goal, and finishing the year strong. Because we know as realtors, what you do now shows up basically 90 to 120 days from now. So if we want to really springboard and have a great start in the new year, let's finish strong. So that's been conceptually most of the conversations I'm having right now. Now, taking that and then breaking it down to what are realtors feeling at this point in their business, in their life, and they're feeling stuck, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling like they're procrastinating, and they're just feeling like they're behind. And I think that probably frames it for a lot of people. So as a result of that, what I like to focus on is reset. Let's forget about everything up until this point in time. We're starting today. We're going to end at the end of the year. You pick your end date. And then between now and then, what has to happen for you to feel successful, for you to feel like you're winning, for you to feel proud of yourself. And that begins a conversation around what's showing up for them where they're feeling stuck. So one conversation that comes to mind is somebody that said, I feel like a failure on my team. I'm still there. Even though I'm deemed to be successful, I still feel like a failure. So it's interesting because that is self-judgment. There's probably a lot of self-judgment there. There's expectations that they know they could be doing better than they are. Maybe they're not following through. They're not following a schedule, which he also mentioned, right? I have a schedule, but I'm not following it. I'm only doing what's urgent, not what I know I should be doing. So this is all showing up. So these fears become controlling and ultimately a loop and a cycle that keeps us stuck. It's our comfort zone. We're doing the things that are comfortable. We're not doing the things that may feel uncomfortable because of deemed to be fears, or maybe there's some beliefs there that are holding us back from doing what we know we should be doing. Right? So to unpack all that, the fear isn't, if we were to identify and separate what is fear, we're often, when fear shows up, we're fearful of a feeling. There's a feeling that is showing up that if we don't do this, we have a feeling about ourselves, about other people, and it's getting aware that it's the feeling that's keeping us stuck. So it's not the fear of the activity, it's a fear of a feeling. So if we could separate the two, it helps compartmentalize it. So then we can have a conversation and become aware of the feeling that's showing up, which is often the real issue. And how do we overcome that? How do we unpack that so we can move forward?
Beneath that, right? In terms of what are the feelings coming up from failing your team? It's likely shame, it's likely embarrassment, it's likely guilt, doubt, and those are all low vibrational feelings. So there's actually I'm thinking of that image in my mind, but it shows how certain feelings are different energetic levels, essentially. And when you get stuck on those lower frequency feelings, like shame, like guilt, like those deep, like you feel those in your gut, you're like, oh, that's icky. I want to avoid that at all costs. We're just going to like pack that down and avoid it completely and pretend it's not there. But then you subconsciously, because it's such a deep rooted feeling, start to act like that. You're starting to kind of push that out, even if it's not on purpose, because it's such a low vibrational, deep rooted feeling. So like Jamie said there, it's really key to catch yourself on what's showing up for you and that feeling that's beneath it that you really don't want to absorb, I'd say, right?
Often self-criticism, judgment.
Yeah.
We are our worst enemies. It's not what people do or say that often compounds something that we're feeling inside. So if they say something that we're actually feeling, then it makes us feel even worse. But we're doing this to ourselves. So shifting our belief, shifting our identity, and unpacking this to the point where I need to really understand that it's all mindset, it's all identity, it's all my beliefs and my patterns and my habits that are either going to help me thrive and succeed or keep me stuck in my comfort zone. So unpacking that one step deeper, what do I need to do right now? What is the biggest thing that I feel is stopping me from achieving the goal that I want between now and the end of the year? Who would you have to be to make that part of who you are on a daily basis, make that part of your identity, your future self? And noticing the feeling that is showing up when you're not doing it, it's so easy to flip the script by just starting to imagine what is the opposite of that feeling. If you were doing the things, if you were being that person, if you were feeling successful, if you were following your schedule, if you were decisive and not procrastinating, how would that feel? So then we can take that negative, flip it into the positive, and that is now who we can become the minute you start to embody that identity. And this is all happening below the surface. This is all happening as we're out there talking to people without any conscious awareness that other people feel energy. Energetically, we show up and they feel that. And the evidence is if you walk into a room and you look around the room and you see different people, some people are going to feel magnetic to you. You can tell there's something about them. They have a spark. They have a zest for life. There's going to be other people where you don't know why, but you just don't want to even go in that direction. So who are you showing up as? And fears is definitely at the top of this whole journey, because if we're feeling all this negativity inside, that comes back through us in everything we're doing. And that also is impacting our sales and our conversations with people.
And I just pulled that up here, the chart of ultimate consciousness, it's called. So it's basically your vibrational energy, like you were saying, right? If someone's you feeling attracted to them or like, ugh, get me away, this person's like icky. But noticing that. So when we're saying too, who do you want to be? What are the feelings that you want to have and the actions that you're taking? And so leaning away from that fear of failure, guilt and shame are the lowest two on the chart. So when you're stuck in that, you really have to work on going upwards from there. So the top 5 on this chart, number 1 being enlightenment, number 2 is peace, 3 joy, 4 love, 5 reason. But looking at those for yourself, and are you showing up with joy in what you're doing? Are you loving the actions that you're taking? Are you loving the journey just as much as that end destination?
Are you loving yourself? Like, let's take this or have this conversation, right? Do you love yourself? And, that's something that I know for a long time I didn't even want to talk about. Like, that's just, we're not going to talk about that. We just go do, right? At some point in time, though, there's going to come a time where you have to deal with things or you don't. And if you don't, you suppress them. And then it often comes through us in disease, right? It often affects us in depression. It often affects us in all this self-doubt. So we're going to have to deal with it. So I encourage you, I learned this when I was leading the real estate office, is if there was a problem in the office, you run to the problem because you're going to have to deal with it sooner or later. So it's easier to put out a small fire than a big fire. So if you hear of anything or there's an issue, run to it. Are we doing that in our life? And think about how self-aware we need to be to do this. Often it's different stages. Some people are just very aware. They've put a lot of energy and time into their own personal growth and development. Others evolve into it. They just go out, they get great success, and then they realize there's something missing and I need to get to the next level. And sooner or later, we're going to run to the problem, which is our thinking and our thought process and our beliefs and all this stuff that helps is basically our operating system below the surface that helps us either succeed or fail in life.
And what you just said there too about that self-love piece, it's so fascinating because I don't think that's ever spoken about that I've seen in the real estate space, never mind coaching space even. It's very much tactics and strategies, but the people that don't like themselves that you're working with. Like, those realtors that like to complain and they're in a loop and the world's always like negative. There's always something bad happening no matter what. It's like they just have this shadow that follows them at all times. And it is because they're constantly narrating this story that they might not want to have. But by being in that state of unhappiness constantly, it's just what you attract. And unfortunately, you get stuck in this loop. So a fantastic way to start to navigate that is A, noticing that it's showing up for you. And then B, just starting to bring positive light to yourself first, taking care of you first. Like, you can't pour from that empty cup. So really starting to show up for yourself in those like small, minor ways to build that self-love, that self-growth, and that ultimately that peace within yourself. Like, how are you focused on developing that?
Jacklyn, we've seen our business since we've started, right? For the last 6 years, I would say over 90% of the time, people come to us for business. I want more, right? I want to grow my business. I want the next level. Ultimately, we end up working on exactly what we're talking about today. We work on ourselves because your business grows to the extent you do. So as you grow, as you evolve, as you develop, your business is a byproduct of who you are being, who you are. And the energy, like, are you an attraction? Are you a magnet? Or are you a repelling people? Right? And I think it's just being so aware of that. And as you really drill down and evolve and work on yourself, you're going to notice how intuitive we are. We're all human beings. We're all the same. We're a human being. We all have intuition. Some allow it to guide them. Others aren't even aware of it. It's just a reflection of where we are at that moment in time. When you become very intuitive, you start to notice things and people differently. And I have one elite client. I love her because every time we get on the conversation, you just feel the energy. And it's this sense of being and calm, hitting great success, having great numbers. And I asked her on our last call, I said, look where you are and what you've done this year. It's her best year ever. How does that make you feel? And you know what she said? Grateful. To live in a state of gratitude is the highest form of vibration you can be in. So you get into enlightenment and just pure gratitude. She's just grateful for everything in life. She's at the point now where that's transferring into how her business is showing up for her. And that's why the success is showing up. She's living in this space that everything's great. We know what's going on in the world. That doesn't matter. She's great. She's focusing on herself, her self-love, and just watching this evolution, having gratitude about everything. So easy to shift our energy. Just being grateful for what you have, focusing on what you don't have or where you should be and you're not, right? So living from that place, that's identity, that's being, that's the whole concept, right, of the be do have mindset.
And if you're feeling too like guilty, I guess, around not feeling grateful, because I know I've been at points with that as well. And I think that's something that's kind of skipped in this process is you're like, oh, I should be feeling like this, or I should be acting this way, and I don't. So then you kind of go deeper into this hole around not being where you want to be, essentially. So it really does start with building yourself back up to getting there. And it's okay if you don't feel that right away, because you're noticing and having the awareness to recognize that there's a disalignment with where you want to be is that first step in this journey.
We just went through this, right? We had our quarterly meeting, figuring out what do we want to do. And you asked the question, like, what are you most proud of in the last quarter? And it wasn't top of mind. When you ask me that, my mind is searching, what am I proud of? And that's because I automatically jump into I didn't do what I should have done. I'm not where I should have been. So I'm focusing on that versus getting clear on what am I really proud of and the wins we've had personally and with our clients, and just making that top of mind consciousness. So it's easy for all of us to lose sight of that. So the importance of having a AM, PM, 5-star morning, evening, that you reflect on this constantly, it keeps it top of mind. So it's so easy to be grateful. And what you shared today, and we've got Google reviews, and you want to feel good, just read your reviews. Look at how you've impacted other people. And that's what I did in between our last calls, just realizing like there's so much to be grateful for. Shift the energy. And next thing you know, the next conversation we have with somebody is totally different.
And that's a great hack to getting into a state of gratitude as well that we practice. And you know, you can do this for yourself. I have a folder. We started today's podcast actually internally before we started recording, but with reading a story that a client just emailed us. He was essentially saying like, hey, 2 years ago, I had this clarity session, and then he's done coaching with us. And now he's at this point where he's done the goals that he set. And I'm talking like big lifestyle identity shifts. He's left a company, started a business, and it is just living his life based on his time now. And it's so easy, like Jamie was saying, to get stuck in, okay, what's next? What didn't I do? And not really having the space to just be grateful for the amazing people and human beings that we get to work with. So you can do this for yourself too, and having a wins folder and starting important things, or going even into your next client call with remembering something positive that a previous client has told you before. Like that's a great hack too, to start practicing gratitude more so in your day. And it is recognizing those micro wins. The win I just shared is fantastic, by the way. Those lifestyle identity wins, those are like absolute gold. And I do think the key to gratitude is noticing the micro wins and those micro moments for the in-betweens when it's not always huge, like identity level shifts. And Jamie always says something, and we'll be getting off a call. And a lot of what I do is behind the scenes work. So it can be very tactical at times. And he'll finish a call and he'll be like, good enough, and like get off the call. And it drives me nuts. However, I heard a take on it recently, and it reframed it for me. But focusing on good enough wins. So it's actually a positive. I don't know if you've always meant this to be as positive, but it is a very positive statement, good enough, because it is good enough and it doesn't have to be perfect. And there can be micro wins in those things without it being that perfect, beautiful thing that you exactly wanted it to be like. But that actually helps break that element of having things be perfect in the process. And it subconsciously shifts your mindset to look for the good in micro moments.
I did not intend that. I'll take full credit for it. Perspective though, right? I love that, because when you've shared that with me, it's a habit. How much in everything we do in life is habitual. And that's a habit. Where it came from, why I say it, I don't know. Just like when I start every coaching call. How do I start every coaching call?
Tell me something good.
That's a habit. So tell me something good causes my clients and myself to get clear on what is the good? Where's the good in our life? And good enough is a word, a phrase that obviously I've just used for long enough that it's just said automatically without any judgment. I like how you framed it. So I like definitely how that was framed versus even judging the statement, right?
And getting into that, just breaking the concept around fear and breaking the concept around failure and rewriting what that looks like in the first place. Like, we're all human beings. I think at the end of the day, there's always going to be seasons and there's always going to be winters. And that's going to be when things are lower and things aren't in flow and you're not in momentum. And really, I think over time, understanding that that's part of the process. Like, you can't get to that other side without going through those seasons. So these little hacks that we're sharing today is meant to help you get through those more challenging times so you can get to where you want to be next.
I have a couple of questions I want to ask for everyone's benefit, just to self-reflect. Number one, what fear keeps showing up and what is it teaching you? These questions are powerful because taking 10, 15 minutes to actually ask this question and then reflect on what comes up is a way of self-guiding you to the next chapter, next step in life, right? So what fear keeps showing up? I think one that's showing up right now, I keep hearing from realtors, is they're feeling stuck, they're feeling behind, they're feeling like they don't have enough business, and what's next year going to be like? So that is definitely a fear that's showing up. And what's it teaching you? It's teaching you probably that there's a gap. You don't have enough potential business. Maybe you're not lead generating enough. You're not connecting with enough people. Because if the pipeline was filled with potential business now and in Q1 next year, we wouldn't have that fear. So fear of not enough. And that's in business. What about in life? So notice just how that one question is leading me to having a bit of a conversation, how deep these questions are. But we have to create the space to ask ourselves and guide ourselves forward, or find somebody that can support you. That's really what mentorship and coaching is you have somebody that's in your corner that can guide you, ask questions, no judgment, help you move forward. That's why for me, coaching's always helped me get to where I want to go faster, because we all have blind spots. We all have emotional and conscious biases that keep us stuck. A great coach is going to ask you questions, just like a great friend. We all have great friends in our lives that sometimes challenge us by what they say or how they ask questions. Here's another one. What would you change if you used fear as a guide? How would you answer that one, Jacklyn?
What would I change if I used fear as a guide? It sort of reminds me of the Eat the Frog book by Brian, what's his last name?
Tracy.
Just in terms of whatever is coming up around failure is probably the thing that you need to be doing most. It's probably once you break through that thing and break out of your comfort zone around that fear, it will get you a substantial step through that breakthrough kind of element and component. So doing that thing, it's really a guide to the action that you likely are avoiding that needs to be taken.
So you run to the problem instead of away from it. Or you're going to deal with it later, or you're never going to deal with it. And it's all good, right? It's just ultimately we're going to have to be fully self-aware that this is going to keep showing up in our life. So as we focus on changing our life, changing our results, transforming ourselves with a new identity to a new identity, these things that are deep-rooted in our mind, our beliefs, we need to expose, shed light on them. And often we realize it's not that big a deal. I see this with realtors all the time, right? I had somebody recently say, I'm not following up with my leads. They told me they have so many leads, but they're not following up with them. And at the same time, their business isn't anywhere close to where they wanted it to be, and they're way behind on their goals, but they have all these leads and not following up. So this is keeping them stuck. So if you ran to following up, meaning, okay, what's the fear of following up, right?
Rejection.
Break the fear down, rejection. Okay, so if the fear is rejection, how's that make you feel internally? Who wants to be rejected? Nobody wants to be rejected.
Shame.
We all want to be loved. Shame shows up. So it's the fear of the feeling of rejection, of not following up the leads, that keeps us stuck. So let's expose it. And the only way to overcome it is to do the activity without attachment to any negativity.
So I was going to say to you, even hearing that fear, that one's an interesting one for me, because a lead, well, tell me that. What would a lead be defined as for this person?
In their case, they were online leads.
Okay.
People that were online,
leads.
filled in a report and wanted some more information.
Okay. So knowing that as well, that's likely a colder lead versus like someone texted you like, hey, I want to be buying in the next 6 months.
It's a lead. It's an inquiry.
Right. So it does change, though, the level of, I'd say, even resistance towards it, because it can lead to that element of shame underneath of it.
And you know what's interesting, even as you said that, I've had some realtors say to me, they don't talk to, or their internal circle, their friends or family, they don't talk to them about real estate. For them, it's easier to call somebody totally cold and a stranger. And then I have other people that they build their business with completely around their network. So it's because we have something in our mind that's blocking us.
What is it with that one? Because I've had that. I've had it where I just feel like our business is separate from some of the friendships, I'd say specifically, that I've had for time that knew me from a different identity from this. So I just kind of hold them like separate spaces.
We compartmentalize it, right?
Yeah.
So just imagine for a minute, we'll just jump into a little coaching, right? So is there somebody's name that comes to mind? You don't have to tell me their name. Is there one person that comes to mind that you haven't had this conversation with, or you haven't talked to about what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you feel Don't think. What do you feel is the worst case outcome if you had that conversation?
That I'm misunderstood.
Okay, tell me more about that. How does that make you feel?
It just feels a bit like uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know per se that there's a fear around it as much of just an avoidance of it. Like, why do I want to feel uncomfortable? I'll just avoid it altogether. So I guess it's a fear of feeling uncomfortable, perhaps.
Do you feel they may judge you?
Yeah, maybe beneath that a little bit. For me, it's just a misunderstanding, though. Like, I just feel like it's apples and oranges that we're comparing. And especially if someone's not in the personal development space or have an interest around that, sometimes I find like it's just there's no point in the conversation.
Okay, so this is going to be normal for everybody. As we shift identities and move in different directions in our life, take on a new job, move in a different direction, leave our current circle, this is going to show up. So we have one of two options. We either try to bring them with us, or we can go on a completely different journey and just realize people have been in our life for a period of time. They may still be there for moments, but they're not going to be part of our journey moving forward. And I've been through 4 identity shifts in my life. Number one is I decided to become a realtor when I was 22 years old. So I was a realtor. Then I became a team and had a partnership in real estate. Then I left selling and stepped into management and leadership, created a new identity. And then I left that space and we launched the B2AB movement, which is a completely new coaching experience for business owners and coaching business and life. What's interesting and what you just shared is the world I was in internally, very tight to and close to, none of our business has grown as a byproduct of that. So it's like they knew me in that space. Now that I've moved here, there's no connection. There hasn't been any support. There hasn't been any outreach. Yet I've got so many other opportunities that have shown up. So it's almost like sometimes maybe they're judging you. Maybe they don't want to support you. Maybe it's their stuff, not my stuff, right? So all this shows up.
And it's having the confidence to, I think, be your authentic self, no matter what they think. That's, of course, an element through that. And I think an area where I could see an opportunity for growth that I would need to focus on as well. Showing up as that and not kind of shrinking down to fit back in.
Oh, that's powerful what you just shared there, right? So expanding and growing often means we have to change locations. We have to change our environment, right? And the people, your inner circle, the ones around you, are they empowering you to thrive or are they pulling you back? And sometimes when we leave our space, maybe they're happy for you. They wish they could do it, but they're feeling stuck. So their way of dealing with it is not having conversations. So there's all this dynamic that goes on. But confidence is an amazing piece because I believe everybody, if they really self-reflected in their current life, they could find situations that make them happy and that they're confident and proud of. So if we can find that in our life in any area, we can literally take that and transcend it and move it forward into the next chapter that we're moving to. Feel the feeling of that experience. Now you're going to step forward into a new identity and you're going to do something new and different. Maybe you don't have the success that will come with that, but we know we've had it, so we tap into that old feeling. And that's where I've heard people say, you fake it till you make it. What I don't like about that is you be it until you live it.
I think really developing that confidence is truly embodying the desired actions that you want to be taking based on that identity that you do want to have, or the things that you want to achieve, or the place that you want to be in your life. What are the actions needed to get you there? And are you, when I say embodying, are you doing them repetitively on a consistent basis? And I'm talking even those small, boring little actions. Like, how are you motivated enough to do those things on a consistent basis?
I learned early in my career, I was a cold caller, so I made lots of cold calls. And my coach at the time called it repetitious boredom. You had to be so consistent that it became so repetitious that it almost became boring. And in that, I developed mastery. It's no different than any athlete, any musician, right? They've done the basics. They've put in the time. 10,000 hours is the number that I've read, right? They've put in the time, they've created the foundation so that they can do it, and they've just embodied that so much that that is who they are. And so no matter what the activity is, when you do those activities because you choose to, you want to, you've put yourself in the position, you're deciding to do this. If you don't quit and just keep doing it, you will get really good at it no matter what, because you're creating mastery.
And it is attaching your desired feelings beneath those actions to get you through those otherwise, like, quote unquote, boring times, right? So it's doing it with joy still. And it's doing it even maybe when the joy isn't there, but it's not operating your business based on your current feeling either. It's, are you being strategic enough and keeping your mindset to a certain point, keeping your energy to a certain point so you can keep going even when you don't feel like it, because no one feels like doing all the things required to get to that level of success that they want.
So win the day, right? Pick the one. So today, maybe you're not going to do everything, but you're going to do the one thing. So just do the one thing really well. Build consistency, build pattern, follow through, be true to your word for yourself. And this is championship mindset, right? This is what champions do in every area of life.
If you're finding, hey, I need that reset on my feelings beneath those actions, with the energy that I'm bringing to the table in my business, check out our belief guide with that, because it's going to help you, specifically you, with a process that we use in our programs to help you break down what's showing up as a block in your business and then help you step into that empowering opposite. So like we were sort of talking about, whether it's feelings or frequency, whatever word feels most aligned with you, but it's helping you rewrite any blocks that are showing up in your business. There's a tutorial with it as well, so highly recommend checking that out, because you're stealing a strategy that's completely for free that I can guarantee will help you feel better from doing it.
Absolutely. And I think we have an opportunity right now as we wind down the year, Q4, or any 90-day cycle. Like, we can reset ourselves every 90 days. So it doesn't matter when you're listening to this. Today, the next 90 days, your life can be totally different in 90 days from now by resetting. So using that belief guide, help reset, figure out what is the one block. We walk you through a process on how to reset that and a journey. And as you do that, you're going to create a different outcome. So you can have and be anything you choose to. Ultimately, the question is, are you going to become the person that made the decision you want a bigger and better life?
And always remember too, fear isn't a failure. It's really a sign of opportunity that you're getting to that point of breaking through some type of comfort zone. So knowing that even if you're not where you want to be right now, I just want to leave you with a reminder that you can get there, just don't stop. I always remember Bob Proctor, fear is only failure if you actually stop. So as long as you're going, as long as you keep progressing forward, keep working towards the life that you want to have, movement is possible for you. It's just keeping on that journey. So we definitely invite you to check out that resource below. Like, subscribe for the latest episodes first. If you heard something today too that you think would help someone else, please share this. We definitely want to help and share this concept with as many people as possible. And we look forward to talking with you soon.